Hello, 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 everybody. Oh my gosh. I am so excited that it's Friday. And as a person, like basically I've been a shift worker for life. And I was never like one of those people that was like, oh yay, TGIF. Like I always was like liked working on the weekend, and now I am just one of those people that is just so dang glad that it is Friday and I keep messing with my camera, and that's okay. So if you're here, tell me where you're from, what you're drinking. I have a fizzy water here. So yummy. It's a little flat because I made it yesterday, but I had it in the bottle. And that's all good. So just hanging out here, enjoying Friday, enjoying September. Tell me what you are up to and all of the things. Um, we just wrapped up, or are sort of wrapping up our, um, oh, thank you. Wrapping up our closet challenge. And that was really fun. And that's one of the things I was going to say is that if there's anything we know, or if I've learned anything during that challenge, it's that people love these glasses. And I'll show you something fun about them. That they're called Pear, and so I can't remember what they call these, but they're different things that you can put on, and it's so fun because I love a variety. And then I was actually able to show that hello, Elia and Chris and Susie's here from the Hebrides. But what I was able to show, actually, you can even stack them up, is that I think you can definitely see which colors work better for you. And even like, there's even like sunglasses. These aren't, I'm not selling these, by the way. I just know that they're so fun. And I actually wasn't really making use of these things for a long time until that challenge. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to wear my glasses because I want to wear them more. And then I just like had chosen that color. And then people were like, I love it. So that's really fun. Oh, hello, mother. My mother's here. And Bethany. I know, isn't it fun? I think they do have progressives. Yeah, check out Pear. Pear. Pair. Lisa from Eastern Washington just finished tea and drinking water now. And that is awesome. Yeah, I'm just so dang glad that it is September 20th. I am such a fall person. And I didn't know that some people aren't fall people, but some people aren't fall people. For me, it is just my favorite season. Now, that being said, I love all the seasons, winter by far the least, but I do even like winter a little bit. I like it less than I did when I was a teenager, or a younger adult even, but I still really, really, really love it. And it's just, I love the change of it all. So, so good to be here. So I want to chat to you guys today about one thing that we can all do to get huge results. Basically, if you didn't do anything else when it comes to decluttering your house, what is one thing that you could do? But beyond that, yeah, I know in Texas, fall is not very long. It's actually not even that long here, to be honest with you. I actually start getting into the fall mindset in like August. Even though it's like still summer big time. Although here now it definitely is like quite cool in the morning. It's like 11 degrees Celsius, which I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. Um, but they don't have bifocals. Are you sure? Okay. Anyway, so when we're looking, here are some things that can help when you're wanting to declutter your space. But I think that, and so I'll list them, but there's one really, really big thing that can help. So the first one that's really helpful is getting an idea of what you want your ideal space to look like. So if you walk around your house and you come through the door and you see that and the thing is, like, right away we might not even realize anymore that we're seeing piles of things here and there. We might We get used to it. We get blind to it. Like there are things at the bottom of my stairs where I am just so used to seeing things where I'll just be like, "Oh my gosh, that's been there for months." And in a lot of cases, it can be years for a lot of people. So but when you walk through your front door, what would you like to see? Right now, what do you see? You might see that there are there are some piles, there are things stacked up. Maybe you have a couple of boxes actually. Maybe you have things that you want to return to a store or to return to somebody. Do you ever have people that come over and they bring food and then you have their dishes that you want to return? I'm just like, now I try if we have people that come over and they bring food, I try to like put anything that's staying in a different container for my house, wash it and give it back because as much like I appreciate it and it's always so nice when people like if a potluck or whatever, but I'm just like I don't want to have this because I know myself that I am going to get used to seeing something in a space and get rid of it. So minus all of that stuff that we're used to seeing, what is your ideal space? What do you want it to feel like? Um, how do you want it to look? How do you want it to function? You can even like share in the chat, like, what is your ideal space? How do you want your house to look? And Susie says, I love the autumn and we have the first sunshine since May. Oh my gosh, Susie. Susie's in the Hebrides in Scotland. And I always forget. I'm pretty sure it's the Outer Hebrides, right? So another thing that can like be really helpful, of course. So like you can visualize your ideal space. You can limit your decision making time. Like when you're decluttering, you can like be like, no, I'm gonna like pick up the thing. I'm gonna make my decision right away. And that can be so, so helpful when we're going through things. And I think like so often, and this is why, and I mentioned this during the challenge that sparking joy is something that a lot of us initially Marie Kondo really inspired a lot of people. However, we can really get stuck in the spark joy because we're like, well, a lot of things spark joy. So what the heck? Why not? Um, and I think that that can be really faulty unless we're really looking at sentimental things. I think that if it's sentimental, that makes way, way, way more sense. Um, that sounds really good, Chris. I love a fairly empty space too. And I do like a little bit on the walls, but not too much. But I love going to people's houses when they do have a lot, like when they have a very curated house, even if there's a lot of stuff. I like that. It's just for my own house. I like to have a little bit less. This is what Jen says. I want the entry to be simple, to just hang up a purse or sunglasses, shoes in a quick toss bin or a shelf, nothing else. Yeah. And then what do you want your kitchen to look like? What do you want your living room to look like or your bedroom? How do you want it to look? It's so helpful if we can create that vision for our house. So we do that and then we can visualize the space. I revisualize the space. And then with Marie Kondo, as much as I love her thing, sparking joy to me is best served with things that are sentimental. Because the other thing is we want to limit decision making time. We don't want to like be picking up something and be like, oh, like, how long am I like, shouldn't I? If you're like humming and hawing about it, typically you could probably be like, no, I should probably let this go. I should probably declutter this. So using a timer even to keep yourself on track. Like I use this timer all the time. Just so that I can be reminded like, oh, you have a timer, you're in the middle of something, do that. And then I also have my phone and my watch where I set timers. And I was actually getting very frustrated with my Apple Watch because the battery is so bad compared to some. Don't mind my cat in the background meowing. He always does this. Crumpet, Crumpet. Okay. Oh, he brought his toy in. Okay. Um, but limit decision making time. So I'll use my watch and this is why I'm keeping the Apple Watch is I would like set a timer. I can literally just say like 10-minute timer and I know. And then if that timer goes, I'll be like, oh, have I gotten off track? And I can get back to it. Or I can be like, I'm doing it fast. And I like the idea of like, if you're not sure about something, putting it in the penalty box. Another thing we can do is celebrating progress. All of these things work. I love celebrating progress. It's my favorite thing, rewarding myself. Like usually it's a cup of tea. I reward myself with tea all day long until I'm done drinking tea, and then I'm really sad. Well, basically by 2 p.m. But then I start drinking decaf tea. Chris says my back door area is a lot more busy than my front door area. Come in the back from the garage. Yes, a lot of people do that. I've had a lot of family members that did that. Yay! I'm so glad that you caught me live, Trish. I love doing these live streams. I think they are just so fun. It's so nice to connect with people and be like, hey, how's it going? So all of these things are great. Like it's great to be like, yeah, I'm going to limit decision making. I'm going to celebrate my progress. I'm going to visualize my space. All of this is so, so helpful. But the problem that most people run into is that they're not doing it. So all of those things can be so helpful, but if you don't do the thing, then you're not going to get it done. And I think that so often people will say, well, I can't get motivated. I just can't make myself do it. And I was talking to somebody the other day and they were like thinking, oh yeah, like when I get the house clean, and they're like, yeah, like that's ever going to happen. I'll never get to that. And the problem with that mindset, of course, is like that makes it harder for you to do it. It also makes it harder for you to um, be consistent with it. So all of those things I mentioned, they're great unless you don't do the thing. And one of the best things is like and the bigger problem with that is then you're stuck with that mess. If you don't do it, if you don't consistently do it, any of those tips, they're worthless. Like they really are no good. And you will just look around and be like, wow, like here I am still. It's been 6 months, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. One of the people in our group that we just did had said um, that she'd been working on her closet and it was 20 years of stuff, which is not at all unusual. And I was like, don't be ashamed of that. Like that is so common because a lot of us, we just don't even we don't even think about it. We grow up in an era where consumption is the thing. Like I grew up in the 80s and the 90s and it was all I remember even to this day, like thinking how far out from the Christmas trees the presents would go. And I mean, this was like for several people because our family would come together, but we were like, wow, like this is so amazing. Like, look at this. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, like not in a judgmental way, but in a like, why was that like the focus? I mean, I was a kid, so I mean, that's going to be the focus as a kid. But so what could help you accomplish it? What could make sure that you do that thing? Right? If you've been trying to declutter for a really long time and you're like, what is going to keep me or what is going to keep me on track? What is going to get me this done? What can help you get it done and gone for good? If you started now, you could be done before the holidays, not counting the Canadian Thanksgiving because that's in 2 weeks. But by before Christmas, before and wouldn't it be nice to have a decluttered house that you could happily invite people over to? Maybe you want to host your Christmas party, or when you're decorating for Christmas, you want a more minimal look, or you want just a blank canvas to just put stuff all over the place. Now, what could make you do it? Now, rewards are helpful. Rewards are great. Like I said, I love to reward myself. What are some other things though? Maybe that doesn't work for you. A lot of people are like, well, yeah, but then I just don't do it. And I'm like, I'm in charge of the reward. So it just doesn't happen. You could be like, well, I'm going to have a friend. I'm going to do a buddy declutter with a friend, which works really well for a lot of people as long as at least one of you could be consistent during any given day. Um, or checklists can be really helpful for a lot of people. Calendars can be really helpful for a lot of people. For me, like when it comes to exercise, I love to use stickers to put stickers on things, or stickers on my calendar to remind myself, like, yay, I did the thing, and that makes me feel so good. Um, And I love all of these things, but often they work for a little while. Yay, Dawn! They work for a little while. They work for, like you get excited for that first little bit and then something happens. Like even if you have a friend and they're an accountability buddy, and then maybe something happens like their dog gets sick or they're really busy with their kids or whatever, or you get tired of your checklist, or you stop using your calendar, or the rewards just don't feel funny anymore. Like, what can you do? Another option might be working with somebody, hiring somebody. You invest in yourself and you're getting that job done for good. And my one on one clients that I work with, they love that we use the video chat. I use the one called Marco Polo. And I find that really helpful. My friend Lindsay and we chat every morning. We talk about like what we're going to get done for the day. That can be really, really helpful. Maybe you do that instead. And maybe that actually works for you as long as one of you can stay accountable. And the one-on-ones that I work with, they love the days when we're working together where I'm checking in on them with the video app, and I'm saying like it's asynchronous, so it's like I send a message. It's almost like a video postcard, and I'm like, "Hey, how's it going? What are you doing?" And then they'll be like, "Oh, this is what I'm doing." They'll either show me or they won't show me, and they tell me what's happening, and they love it. By the end of the day, they are thrilled because they've gotten so much done. Another thing that can be super helpful is just joining something like my Cozy Home Club, which is the doors are open until Monday evening, and there are 18 spots left. There were 20. There's 124 people on the wait list. But the thing is, what's great about this is then you work with me for 8 weeks and we meet weekly. We have a call and we talk about the various things. We talk about mindset stuff, beliefs, the things I touched on before, like how if you grew up with depression era parents, whatever, like how to neutralize a lot of those negative beliefs. And we're going to meet every Monday and we go through those beliefs. Then we talk about the action phase where you're going to get the stuff done. Through that entire 8 weeks, which is from October 1st to November 18th or 19th, it's on Tuesdays, then you are going to get your stuff done because at the end of our call, you declare what you're doing for the week. And then there are 2 check-ins. And then you have that success because somebody is holding you accountable. And that's what everybody, like almost everybody tells me is I just need that social accountability. And it works so well. It works for a lot of people. And then the thing is, a lot of people, they find that they get hung up on those beliefs, like I talked about before. So the one thing that we all need, though, is that something to keep us going. And I believe that for most of us, it's that accountability. But quite often, if we're getting hung up every time we start, like what is the pattern? That's one of the things I love for us to look at. What is the pattern whenever you're decluttering? Um, do you start? Is it a clutter spiral of chaos? Do you start? Do you get overwhelmed by your space and then you start and then you pick up something and then you're not sure and then you're keeping so many things and then you've got like this little pile of like broken things or maybe like a random battery or like one shirt that doesn't fit and then you're like, okay, yay, I decluttered. But then you turn around and you're like, oh my gosh, but I kept so much stuff. Then that is probably a mindset issue where all of us where we're getting stuck, where we're every time we go to declutter, our brain is saying, I don't want to lose this stuff. This feels unsafe. That's how our subconscious works. The subconscious does not like change. So tell me in the chat if you can relate to that. When you're decluttering, do you get stuck where you're like, oh my gosh, like every time this one thing happens, or I will start to feel sick and then I don't start again, or this happens and then I don't start again, or I do like a couple of days of decluttering and then it's one step forward, 2 steps back because whatever random thing comes up, can you relate to that? Because that is one of the other things that we tackle in the Cozy Home Club. Here, I'll put a link for it here. You can look at that if you're interested, because that will explain all of this much better than I am right now. Because the thing is, a lot of us, we spend years decluttering. And when it comes to really working through it, it's just not really happening. Something is stopping them. My dad, God bless him, but he actually said to me, "I'm the keeper of things. I found a ladle today." He's passed away, unfortunately, but he said, "I found a ladle today." And I was like, "Oh, I've got this ladle because I am the keeper of things." Like, that was one of his beliefs. A lot of people, they feel like they have to be the one that saves things. Yes, Lisa, that's exactly it. And a lot of people, they want to save the thing. They drive down the road and they see something on the side of the road and they're like, "What is that doing there? I can take that." Or there's something with like like a chair with a broken, like maybe not even a leg, just something else broken, and they're like, "I can be the one that saves this." Or they go to a thrift store. Like, how many of you have done that? Like, that is a really, really common one. The other one is like lessons set from our family, like waste not, want not. I remember I worked with a lady and she was like, it never even occurred to her that you could declutter. Never even occurred to her. And then we started working together and I was like, yeah, like you don't have to keep everything. So then we started going, she had such great success. It was absolutely wonderful. And that isn't everybody. A lot of people, they're aware they can let go of things, but then they just feel it's like a safety thing. A lot of us, we feel like having stuff around us subconsciously feels safe. And maybe for some people, it's that feeling of being prepared. Like, I have things just in case. Oh, thank goodness. Because if you think about it, historically, like humans were really nomadic, or like, years ago, we didn't like, if you had something, you would keep it just in case. But that is not the world we live in. Now we live in a world where there's just so much overconsumption. And a lot of us, we are surrounded by things. We have piles of paper in our kitchen. We have things shoved up against the back of like against the wall on the countertops. And they've been there for months or years. And then we're like, why is this even here? These vitamins are expired, or this paper doesn't even matter. So a lot of that really, really affects us. The other thing is sometimes we have habits, like we're shopping when we're sad, or when we feel guilty, or that makes us feel guilty. I remember when we dropped my son off, and when yeah, I love that too so much, Rabbit. But the other thing is we when we dropped off our son, and I did not know this about myself at all, but I was feeling a little bit sad, and I noticed that I just pulled out my iPad and I started shopping. I started looking for things, and I was like, well, this is interesting. That was very helpful. That was over a year ago, but I thought, okay, I can see this. Like, yes, I never, ever, 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 ever thought I was one of those people, but sure enough, I was. Um, Let's see. Practice makes perfect. Little bursts of decluttering are easier, and then you get stronger and more brave. Just start. Yeah. Breaking a shopping compulsion can be hard, but it can be done. Totally. And I know a lot of people where they like to shop the sales, and then they end up making things happen. Another thing I want to say is that, remember, I said like the most important thing is to do it. Like, what can get you to do it? Do you need to declare it as a project? Because a lot of the time we're like, oh, I want to make my house better, I want to declutter, I want to get rid of the things, but I'm just so busy. I have so much going on. And I want to show you something, because we need to make things a project. And sometimes things have to get put by the wayside. And I have this zucchini, which is a perfect example of when I had a project these past few weeks. I was getting ready for the closet challenge and a few other things. And I knew my garden had to just be put on pause for the things that could. And I, of course, like everybody, I was done with zucchini. So I weighed it. It's 2.9 kilograms, which I think is about 7 pounds. But we when you are like, I'm taking control of my house, I am decluttering my space before the holidays. I am going to go into them so that I can connect with people. I can have friends over. I can happily have like a hot chocolate or a tea or whatever, something really good, and just put on a like White Christmas or some other movie and just relax and be at peace in my space, having people by. Yeah, that is a big zucchini, right? And so the point of the zucchini is that when you say, okay, I want to get my house decluttered in these next 8 weeks, then I am going to put a couple of things on the back burner. It doesn't mean everything, but it means a couple of things on the back burner. So you let your zucchini go a little bit big. And in the meantime, quickly go out and pick tomatoes and throw them in the freezer. Um, Ooh, good, good. I love it. I said to my husband, because it's so big. I was like doing like curls because it's like 7 pounds, or more. Maybe it's 8 pounds. No. Anyway, um, I'm trying to do math, the darn metric system, but I lost my oh, yes. So I was saying to him, I don't think I can use it for anything. It's so big now. I mean, if you seed it and anyway, I like to shred them up, but make delicious muffins out of them. But the thing is, I'm I'm done that project I was working on before, like the challenge. I'm just sort of like wrapping it up in the Facebook group and whatever, and telling people they can sign up for the Cozy Home Club, which is the link right here. You can look into that if you like. But I am now at a point where I'm like, okay, that project is done. I can go back to the garden. I can figure out what I'm doing with this zucchini and then some of the smaller ones. And then I can do a couple of other things. And it feels so good. Instead of us making it this not this project, but just this new lifestyle thing where we're like always managing our stuff, and even just to clean where you have to move boxes of stuff that isn't even supposed to be there. It feels so, so good to do that. And when you declutter, we're recognizing that we're creating a positive change in our absolutely wonderful gift of a life. Like, how wonderful that we have this great life. Why not live it without being surrounded by extra stuff? And I'm not saying you have stuff like piled around you like this. Maybe you do, but I don't like when my house feels a bit messy. So I want to go ahead and tackle that. You know what I mean? So make it a bit of a priority. And with the Cozy Home Club, it is an 8-week small group coaching program where you're working with me and I am keeping you so, so accountable. Like it's a project program. Like we're working together. And then on top of that, you get a one-on-one call with me as a bonus, um, where we're going to chat about how you're going to continue on the process. And then you also get the incredible coach Lindsay, relationship coach Lindsay. She has a great bonus called the Declutter Dialogue, where she is going to help you because so many people, they tell me, I want to declutter, but my husband, or even but my son, if they have like an adult child living with them or whatever, she is an absolute magician when it comes to working with families, working with relationships, how to say things so people don't get mad, how you can express your feelings and like your wants and why this is important to you, and how maybe you're and I always say like work on your own stuff, and she totally agrees with that, but then how you can have that conversation with that family member so that they want to as well. That is a masterclass that's included, so then you can get those results. Then there's also, you get my whole Untangled program included, and then what's the other thing? There's a really fun 30-day decluttering challenge that gives you steps that you can do every day. And it's so good. It is so, so fun. Yvonne says, all of this rings true for me. And that's the thing. Like so many of us, okay, I will save the zucchini for you, mom. My mom says, I want that zucchini. Um, yeah, like, and like all of us, like we're living in this time where there's just a lot of stuff and that's okay, but we need to find a way to get on top of it, to make it gone, to to create that incredible space where you're not embarrassed to have people come over. Like where you don't feel like, oh my gosh, am I going to have to host Thanksgiving? Am I going to spend, a week trying to clean and then all the food and then you're just completely, completely dreading it? Or are you going to have a house where if somebody drops by, you aren't embarrassed at all? Sure, there might be a couple of like things out, maybe like a book or, like you have a few things like it looks like somebody lives there, but you're proud of your house. You're not at all embarrassed. And also that you have like that energy. You feel comfortable in your home. Your home is a place where it is a place of refuge. Cooking dinner is easy because you don't need to like tidy up your kitchens. I think that um exactly. Um it just feels so good to just have that weight off of your house and to be done decluttering for good because so many people they're like, "Oh, yeah, for the past like year, 5 years, 10 years, I've been wanting to get on top of the mess and get rid of all of the stuff." This is your chance. This is how you can do it is through this 8 weeks and then you're done. And a lot of people, I said sparking joy isn't good. A lot of other people, they do the thing where they buy the storage. For me, that's what we did. In our last house, we had my uncle build shelves in the garage. And then I had this other really nice guy who was like an uncle build shelves in the basement of our house so that we could store all of this stuff. And I mean, shelves are not a bad thing. And storage is not a bad thing. I mean, we're a lot of us still do have a few things we need to put away. I'm a big fan of Christmas and I have, a decent amount of Christmas stuff, but I make sure that the stuff that I have is stuff that I use. And sure, I have a few of those things in totes, but I've spent thousands of dollars on storage. I've bought shelves, I've bought totes, all of the things. This is your chance to be completely, completely done. And I think it's totally worth it for your time and your effort. Oh my gosh, right? Like, and this is the thing, like for me, woo, I used to go into hotels or Airbnbs and whatever and be like, oh my gosh, like this feels so good and not even recognize why. And then eventually I was like, wait a minute, it's because there's not all that extra stuff around. So those are the one thing is that how is it that you can make it happen? Accountability is number 1 in my books, which is why I think you're gonna wanna look into Cozy Home Club. But the other thing is you gotta make it a project, which again is another reason why that can work for you. But also doing the things where you create a visualization for your space, you are rewarding yourself, you are setting a timer. These things are great, but you need to tackle the mindset stuff, which you do with me in the Home Club, and I keep you accountable as you work through the process. So, you guys, tell me, do you have any questions, like just general questions while we're chatting? Any questions about Cozy Home Club or what? Because, like, you guys, it is September 20th, and I am so excited. I'm gonna tell you why I'm really excited. It's because the foster kittens I have are slowly going to start leaving starting tomorrow. And then 1 leaves tomorrow, and then 3 leave on Monday, and then I'm done fostering kittens until next spring. I love fostering kittens. It's so fun. And I only take friendly ones because our family is so busy that we don't have the time to socialize them. Quite often, kittens will come in and they are feral. So they're really scared of humans, and you need to show them how to trust you and how to love them. But I am too busy for that. There's other people in our fostering organization who are, I'll tell you in a second, Chris. But there are other people in our foster organization who are retired. Um, or they just have more time. I don't have more time. So it's hard for me to spend the time to socialize them. Like it's already an issue, like getting them to the vet and all of the things and filling out. Like, I've just got this actually, these are their vet records. I need to update them before they go. And one of them is going tomorrow because my friend Lindsay's sister is adopting one. But yeah, it is so fun. Um, uh, Fostering kittens. And as for the stripy guy, I'm not foster failing with him. And if you're not familiar, the term foster fail means that you are going to keep that kitten. We've already foster failed twice. Actually, one of them, Crumpet, the orange one who falls down all the time, you may have seen before. We actually sought him out because Plumpkin, our middle cat, also has cerebellar hypoplasia, which is the coordination issue that Crumpet has, but Plumpkins is nothing compared to Crumpets. So we're not foster failing. Oh, Buddy. Yes. Okay. So Buddy was from the last batch. We were so close, but we didn't. But great news about Buddy because he ended up being adopted by an older gentleman that worked at home that wanted a companion cat. And Buddy is the perfect cat for him. Like I am just so happy for Buddy. And all of these cats, they're so sweet. They're so sweet. Like last night I was sitting on the couch. I was tired because it was a really long day. And on top of like all the work stuff, then I went to Costco and it was just like chaos. And I was sitting there and I had let the kittens out of the bathroom. And one of them, he came up and he was sort of sitting there and just sort of like, which is interesting because these kittens are probably about 13 weeks old and they are like wild. So for him to even just sit for a minute. Oh my gosh. You know what, Chris? I think that is really helpful too, a semi-weekly game night, which helps a lot. Yeah, having people come over. A lot of people have said that. Like when we oh a lot of people oh my gosh, when we're having people over, it causes us to be like, "Oh, now I'm gonna clean." But wouldn't it be nice to not have to go crazy? Thank you for asking, Simone. Cozy Home Club. So there are group coaching calls. They are going to be Tuesdays starting October 1st to November 19th. And they are going to be at 1 p.m. Pacific time, which is 2 p.m. Mountain time, 3 p.m. Central time, and 4 p.m. Eastern time. And then I just realized that I thought we had an additional time zone in Canada with Newfoundland time, but there's actually two more. There's also Atlantic time. I did not know this. But anyway, so those would be the other hour and a half. So yes, thank you for asking. And it is going to be so fun. And it's going to be a small group. So if you want to make this happen, if you want to get it done, join. And then there's all those fun bonuses that are going to make it happen. Uh, you know what, Trish? This is very interesting. Why do I feel hungry for sweet snacks as soon as I decide it's time to declutter? Is this about dopamine or procrastination? That is such a great question, Trish. Thank you for asking. And also, guys, if you have any more questions, let me know. Just about anything. Um, that could be both. I remember years ago, and actually I'll still fall into this pattern sometimes where if I'm getting stressed, I will get really tired. Like I need to go and lie down. And I think that this actually was like when I was in high school. I remember napping a lot after school, and I think that was my brain just sort of was like, "Oh, when we're stressed, we go and we nap." Right? So some people maybe they eat sweets when they're stressed, or it is the dopamine fix that you're looking for, or procrastination. Great ideas all around. And so often we do like procrastinating. There were people in the challenge who were like, "Oh, I ended up." One lady, she said, instead of decluttering my closet, I just took everything out and I switched around all of the dressers and folded everything neatly. And she was like, and now I'm going to declutter. So it's almost like sometimes we even need to prime ourselves. I often say to myself that I often say to myself that it's okay to do like the easy thing for a second first, like e- cleaning our kitchen before we declutter. Maybe that's not a terrible thing. Like it kind of like gets your brain in that work mode, which I think can actually be really, really helpful. That is so funny. Crunchy snacks as soon as I try to do the dishes. Do you want to know something really interesting? So I just started reading this book and I think it's called The Chocolate Chip Murders or something like that. I like these. Oh, there's a funny term for these books. And it's almost like they're like cozy mysteries. There's some kind of funny term for it, but it's really fun. And I started reading these and they or reading this new book. It's not funny. I like ones that are funny, and this one isn't funny. There's one girl, her name's Elle Casamano, and they're Finley Donovan books. They're great and they are funny. There's 4. I've just finished the 3rd. But anyway, so I just started this new book because I use the rental thing on my Kobo. I also have a Kindle, but I like the Kobo because then I can rent things from the library for free. So it's paying for itself very quickly. But I was reading this book and she's talking, it's this chocolate chip mystery, and she's in a bakery and there's a she's talking about these like crunchy cookies, and then it said something about like cornflakes in these cookies, and I'm like reading this and I'm like, I gotta find a recipe for cookies like that. And wouldn't you know it, at the end of the chapter she's got the recipe, and I was like, yay, I love it. I love it. It's so fun. So that just made me think about when you were talking about sweet snacks and crunchy snacks, and I just was like, okay. And at first I was like, okay, it's a slow start to this book. And then I was laughing at myself this morning because I'm like, I am in. It also comes with recipes. Ah, yeah. And you know what, Chris? It is so true. Like procrastinating is like the thing. And actually, like, I think, like, in a way, it's really soothing. I love to put my AirPods in. I don't know where they are. I got back from being out yesterday. And you know what? I think my son might have taken them downstairs by accident. But I put my AirPods in and I just clean. And it's so relaxing because I'm just not doing anything else. I'm just mind on whatever. And I'm just doing the thing. Dish pan cookies, that sounds really good. Someone my mom knows makes potato chips cookies. Yeah, these ones are like chocolate chip cookies with, cornflakes, and I was like, "I am making those. I'm gonna make those cookies." Oh, yeah. Anybody, have any other questions or zucchini ideas? I got another one too, but I don't know what Mom, what are you gonna do with this zucchini? It's so big. I thought it was like 3 feet long, but it's actually only 19 inches. So it's basically, and it's about 7 pounds. This is a newborn baby. This is our newborn baby zucchini. Oh my gosh. Definitely not as fragile, but there you go. All right. Well, I'm not seeing any other questions come in. So I think now I'm hungry. You guys have all made me hungry. You've talked about crunchy things. You talked about sweet things. Maybe I'll go have a quick lunch before I pick up my son. I'm getting my nails painted today. And another thing I wanted, oh, you're going to make lasagna. Okay. Another thing I want to do, or that I am doing on this channel coming up, is in October, I'm going to be decluttering my whole house. So you're welcome to join along and watch that. It's going to be really fun. I've already done it, of course, but I'm going to do more. I recently got a pair and now I am able to focus on the task at hand without distractions. YouTube has music for autism ADHD that helps me totally. Zucchini boats. Ooh, that sounds good. And you know what else is, yeah, they're really good barbecued actually. If you cut them into rounds, Mom. She's making noodles out of them. Lasagna noodles cut into rounds. All right, everybody. It was mostly, let me see. If you're done getting your nails done, does that mean you're hitting the donation center? That's right. If I'm getting my nails done, I always drop stuff off at the donation center. And yes, I will be. because that is my favorite thing. And in fact, we did the garage about 2 weeks ago. I've got a video coming out on that next week. And I have a video of me there. I went to the landfill. I think I talked about this the other day, but I love the landfill. And I was like, because it's not usually smelly. I was next to a guy who he had fun of smelly stuff in his car. I don't know what that was about, or his truck, but normally it's not that bad. And I just love it because you're just like getting rid of the stuff, and it's going to go there anyway. I'm all about buying things so that we're not um, like creating more clutter. I think like that's the most important thing, is that we prevent things up front, but that we're getting rid of things on the back end. So anyway, yeah, I went to the landfill, and then I went to the donation center, and I still have more stuff I'm bringing. Some books. You may have seen like the tour I did on my house this week, where I showed in the guest room where I had decluttered that one shelf, and the books were there. The problem with the books is that I had put them in big boxes, so they were way too heavy, like even for my husband to lift. So I'm going to take some of the books in today, which is going to be fun. All right, everybody. It's so good to chat with you as usual. Yay. And good for you. That's the thing about procrastination. Anti-procrastination day. Friday for me is if there's going to be an anti-procrastination day, it's going to be Friday. And that's when I'm going to get rid of that stuff. Get rid of the things. Do the phone calls. Oh, phone calls are the worst. Well, I have a kitten. I've just got a message from the person who is taking a cute little Mouse, one of my kittens. I've got Mouse, I've got Bunny, I've got Joey, and I have got Fawn. And then I had 7 at one point. Oh, 7 was crazy. It was awful. I mean, it was adorable, but it was way too many. 7 is crazy. I don't know if there are bears at the dump, but there must be. But we did have a bear just run across the street the other day. So there's definitely a lot of bears. But anyway, so good to see you guys.